I just spent 2 hours scratching my head how I'm going to work on this knife, and I figured it out, I think.
Okay, so what's going to happen is a 3/8 hole will be drilled here. This will be set in. This will be TIG welded into place so that this is sticking out on the back. This will be inside the steel. Then when it comes to the case, there will be a 9/16 hole drilled. This hole will be bored out to 9/16 in the case. This will sit in that 9/16 hole. This will go on top, and then a bolt will pass from the back, and the nut will sit on top here, or vice versa. And that's how this will attach. The case will then fit on both sides of the tang, so that both sides of it can be welded, and then the plunger will be inserted into the groove, followed by the handle assembly, so that it will get the most purchase on with the bolts, with these 2 bolts, possibly 2 more back here, and then 1 up here. Or these pins then don't really need to be bolts, but they can. Either way, there'll be sufficient, how do I say this, handle material, so that it's a good strong connection. And then this, I would prefer to use the front holes, because then the rack has a place to go when it's caulked. So it can slide back here into this space and then fire forward into that space, kicking them out. I think that's going to be the way to go. Yeah. So then this gets welded into that. Of course, timed so that the guy here, what is it, hole is in the same spot on both of them. So then after it's assembled, it fits in a notch there, and then the rack can still glide past it. Of course, they will be opposed, and this way I don't even have to have a cover plate for the mechanism. It's all built in. I like that. Now, in order to prep these for TIG welding, I do want to polish the back sides, because once I weld this little gear in here from the back side, I can't reach this with a grinder without risking grinding the teeth off the gear. So this is going to be pretty much to the final finish, at least on this back plane on both of them, before I go ahead and do that part. And then I've got a test plate here to kind of see my, when I stick these on, how they're going to work. And then based on that, it may change the geometry of the blade right in this region, or at least, the blank where this gear has to sit to travel. The option is there for me to play around with this a little bit to see if I can get the gear as close as possible to the center as well. I might have to scratch my head a little bit more before we get started on this next phase. I'll go ahead and weld these all together, but just had a thought too now. It'd be sure simple to make this, cut 2 pieces and tack them together with a TIG welder back to back. But that's not going to work anyway because they're opposing. So, yeah. Still, the idea holds. Even if they were opposing, just to take a piece of 1/4 inch that slides in a slot that sticks through, and then on one side of it weld this, and then on the opposing side weld one that way. I'll have to sit down and figure that part out too, do some measuring, and then that will tell where my slot goes in position in relation to the 2 holes for the gears. And I can probably bring these in a little bit so that it doesn't cause interference. I don't have to do any more grinding on the actual blade. What I've done here to ensure these align correctly is put a little mark where the corresponding to the set screw hole, and put a mark on there so that when I slide them in and clamp them, I know I'm lined up.
Okay, I've got them welded. You can see them real there. The weld. There's this one. Little gears. And I was going to mess around with this plate, figure out the spacing for the holes. You know, I want, as I said, I want them as close together that it'll look right on the knife. And then I'll design my rack and see how I can put the holes in the blade. But I've got some service calls to make with my truck. I've got to go work on that frame rack again. There were some things that needed to be welded after powder coat. It's goofy to explain. It's part of the, wasn't really part of the original plan, but there's no other way to do it but to weld it after it's been painted. And it's back from paint, so I gotta go fix that. And then there's a brazing job, something to do with lantern parts I gotta go check out. So this will be it for this video.